I must admit, I've learned a lot from this last little exercise I've done. When I first built this engine shed itself, it's made from a cardboard box. Now the mistake I made was using too thin cardboard on the last model that I've made. As you can see, my trusty irons, the flat irons, are back in action again. So what I'm doing, I'm having to reinforce these walls, and I'm having to do nearly every one because the cardboard was much too thin, so I'm finding constructive ways of doubling up on the thickness of the walls now. It's much easier to do in the first instance. The golden rule, I suppose, is you never make the same mistake once. If you look at this now, you can see the problem. See how that's bowed? There's a distinctive bow in the middle there. Well, this one was exactly the same, and I've just straightened it by reinforcing it. So this one now is the last one I've got to do. So when that's finished, we're going back to the windows and doors. As you can see now, I've got all the windows and doors painted. I've got 3 of the large doors. One of them I put a sill on because that's the front door, a stone sill. I've got 2 of the smaller doors, and I've got 7 of the windows. Now it's very simple to put these on. I explained earlier that I might be doing something just by sticking them on. Now the difference is you can either stick them on or you can have them cut out and you can see through them. Right, I'm gonna see through this one because when it's done it'll look good viewing from the inside if you can see through it. So I've calculated that this needs to be approximately 10 millimeters up from the base. I'll just bring this into give us it a little bit more level, and as I'm running out of glue I've had to leave it upside down draining for a while. So all I'm simply going to do now is to stick a little bit of glue on there, all the way around, and it's going to stick on here over the hole. And like I said, I've calculated that it should be about 10 millimeters up. On my next, but you've got to make sure it lines up on a course as well. But on my next little exercise, I think I'm going to go back to using imperial measurements because I haven't really got used to the decimal money yet, so I've no chance with millimeters, have I? Anyway, make sure you get it lined up, and that's one on there. Now the door we're going to put here because there's a wall here, so it's got to be realistic, and I'm just going to spread glue all over this. Obviously this won't be 10 millimeters up as it'll go all the way down to the floor. So this is 2. You can see how simple it is, isn't it? Line that up with that and stick it down. So now we've got a door and a frame. I'm just going to check the window needs to go a little bit more over to the right. So I'm just going to slide that over slightly before it sticks, making sure I stay on the same course. And when I put all the other windows around the building, they're all going to stay on the same course of stonework, so they'll all line up all the way around. What I think I'll do to save you having to watch repetitiveness, I'll do it as fast as I can again, and then we'll come back to you when I've got it finished. So hope you enjoy this next little bit. as you can see, that didn't take too long, did it? So I've got all the windows in now, all at the right height. Here's the one that we can see through from coming down the stairs. This will be the door into the station. We've got a window in here. On the platform side, we've got the big doors. We've got a waiting room, and around the corner here we've got another entrance door and a window, and at the front we've got the main entrance doors, which you can see I've made half open so they look a bit more realistic, and I'm going to put a timetable up here to fill in this space here. And then the next thing, we're going to work onto the roof. We'll put the coping stones on, and then we'll get the roof covered next. So that's another little bit of progress again today. You can see now that the station is in position. The windows and doors are all fitted, and it's even got a new notice board here, an LNWR, which is actually a real timetable from 1954-55 from Clegg Street to Greenfield to Delph, which was part of the line. So this is the front of the station now, and if you're wondering about the different levels of the doors, because the doors on the platform side are slightly higher than the doors at the front and at the side. The reason being that these two doors here would have to have steps up going up to bring it to the same level, because the windows are all lined through. So the next part of the job now is to find an economical way of finishing off the gutters and the roof covering. So that'll be the next step in the process. We now come on to finishing off the roof. I've thought about this for a long time. I've done some experiments. I got some paper and I tried constructing a gutter section with it, which if you look closely you can see it does work, but it's very, very flimsy. I tried transferring it to some thicker cardboard, but the thicker cardboard was too thick and it just wouldn't bend, so I had to give that up. I tried some thinner card, well actually paper, actually black paper, and again I could get the section there, but it wasn't easy to hold together, and it actually, when I tried to score it to bend it, it started to rip and stuff like that. So I gave up on that idea. I came up with the idea of making it out of balsa wood. So this is what I've done. I've taken a piece of balsa wood, and what I've done, I've actually gone in with the knife at 45 degrees and I've scored it out. So that gutter will sit on there. It can be nicely mitered at the corners. We can get another piece there. I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So take your balsa wood, and I'm going to mark in here 6mm, which is what I did. So 6mm at that end and 6mm at this end, and then I can cut my piece off there. So I've got 3mm thick this, so I end up with a piece of balsa wood that is 6mm by 3mm by whatever length you need. So I'm going to score it gently, so I've got a nice even cut all the way down. I've got a nice square edge, and that is my gutter. And what I do from there, I use a finger gauge. I'm using my finger as a guide, and what I'm doing, I'm going to run it down there, and if you see, I can just put a little score mark down it. It's difficult to do holding it, but I can score that all the way down there, and then I can turn it around from the other side and do the same thing down this side, I hope you can see this. The first one I did came out well. That's running off a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to cheat, but I'm going to make it simple for myself. I'm going to use a guide there. And I'm going to run that in at an angle. Taking care not to go all the way through, of course, else you end up with a load of little bits of balsa wood. Same at the other side. Take it through there. Work on the principle that you can always take a little bit more off, but you can't put it back on. Okay, so now I've got something that might even start to, oh, there we go, it's peeled off already, see? I've now got a groove down there. What I'm going to do now, it's very time consuming, so I'm not going to put you through the rigmarole of it all, but I'm just going to come back a little bit at a time, like so, and just carve out this gutter. I'll just do one. Watch it doesn't run off. You get the idea, don't you? So I'm going to take a little bit more off at a time until I've got a gutter section at the end there. Those can then be glued all the way around. What I've done with the roof, I tried to do everything as cheaply as possible, and I'm very cheap. You'll notice all my stonework, I used, as I explained, some stone that I had and I scaled it down. I don't have a colour printer, so what I do is I distress it all up after. I've been doing a bit of practice in here, as you can see, with a bit of weathering, but I'm not happy with that, so that'll come at a later stage. So the gutter, the roofing that I've got is a slate roof, like it would be, and what I've done, I've taken some slates, pictures of slates, and I've photoshopped them all, and I've joined them all together, so I've got some strips that are just about the right distance for going on there. If you want any of these, by the way, if you want a copy of this or a copy of the stonework, and I've got stonework for walls, I've got brickwork, I've got different things, just leave me a message down below with the contact details, and I'll send them you for free. I don't want anything for it. Save you a little bit of work if we can. So what I'm going to do now is cut off the top of this. Where'd I put my knife? I've lost it. Oh, where is it? Well, I had it a minute ago, didn't I? Oh, I can see it's underneath there, hiding. So making sure you got it. Well, it doesn't actually matter if it's on a course or not, because it's going to have a ridge over the top. It's going to have a valley down here, and it's going to have some hip tiles on here, ridge tiles, hip tiles to cover that up. So if I measure this, it is 80 millimeters, and this here is just around about just over 80 millimeters. So I'm going to cut that off. And that's my first one done. So what I need to do is to find the angle that I've got. I could do it by calculating like I did before. I can bring this along to the end here, put it in the right position there, which I've got, and I'm going to just run my steel rule down there. That gives me that, and I'm going to run that down there, so I've got that angle there, and that should be as near as damn it. So I'm going to cut that off. And I'm going to cut this off. As I say, I've got lots of leeway here because it's going to be covered with the ridge tiles and the other stuff. So that goes in place there, like so. And that's not bad. So that's going to be the slates on the roof. I'm not going to do it all for you, repetitive again. We need to have a valley down this side. I thought about this, and the cheapest thing I could come up with, I was going to paint it silver, but I didn't have any silver paint, so I thought I'd use a little bit of aluminium foil. It's got a dull side and a shiny side. I'm going to use the dull side because it would be a weathered piece of this is to represent the valley here, which would have been made out of lead, or Uncle Ned as we used to call it in the trade. So I'm going to just fold that a little bit in the middle there, and that can now glue on there, and that'll be my valley. So I'm going to glue that on now. Show you what happens. I'll glue this on. And what I will do is I will think of a way of distressing this later. So that's fine there, that's on. I can cut it off at the top. Oops. And cut that off there. Of course the same thing will happen at the other side. Why don't I put this first piece of slate on that I've got as well. So it would be just slightly away from the corner there, so you'd see the lead. And what I will do after, I will think of a way of making that look more worn. So that's just a little bit longer as it is now, so I'm going to cut just a fraction off. And I can now glue this side as well over the top of that. This is neat PVA glue, so spread it all in, or as Henry Cooper used to say, splash it all over, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then carefully right down to the bottom level, and we've got a slate roof. How's that look? That's not bad, is it? Slate roof and a valley. So that the hip tiles will come over here, the ridge tiles will come across here, and we'll leave the valley exposed. You'll just see a little bit. When I get this side on here, you'll just see a little bit of valley there. So I'm quite pleased with that. I'm very happy with that. Okay, so what I will do now, I'm going to put a little spurt on now, and I'm going to finish the rest of it off for you in my usual manner. So I'll be seeing you pretty soon. I'll be as quick as I can. Come on now, be honest. That's not too bad, and that didn't take me too long, did it? You'll notice now that I've got all the roof covered now. We can see the valleys, and there's a little bit of muck on there, but that's okay. And now some people go for total realism, and they will put cut out each individual row of tiles and stick each one on laboriously. Some people put all windows in that you can see inside, and you can actually see inside the buildings and everything. It depends entirely how much you want to put into it and what you want to get out of it. For me, I get the pleasure in building this as it looks as realistic as possible and as true as possible to its realistic state when it was a real station. And obviously I've had to make some adaptations because of the size and stuff like that. But that's the next stage now. So now I need to find the hip tiles, the ridge tiles, and get all the gutters on, and then it's almost finished then. I think we're doing quite well.